Move this way. Hey, Jimi D Wolf podcast.
Hello.
Cover up my messy couch. So here we are, December, 22nd, 2020, as we record this.
Christmas
and
time is upon us.
Yeah, Christmas is upon us. It's like
best time of the year, man. I love it. I'm looking forward to it with the kids. They're rolling out the vaccine. Christmas is here. New Year right around the corner. I'm optimistic.
Yeah, well, I always like New Year, turning the page to the new year, analyzing what the previous year was like and set strategies and goals for the new year. And that's usually what I do about this time between Christmas and New Year's, especially. I'm digging deep into my year.
Yeah.
I keep track of pretty much everything. If you don't measure it, you can't. If you don't track it, you can't measure it, and you can't improve it.
Sure.
So that's my mantra.
Sure, there's metrics for everything, man.
Yeah. If you don't know how you did, you don't know how you can improve if you don't even know where you were. So.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. I mean, I spent a lot of years just kind of getting by without even having any goals. And this year I set some pretty lofty ones. And, it's amazing when you know where that line is, how much easier it is to get to it.
Well, it is amazing. I found that if you write it down and make it, they say it's, what's the term they use? There's an acronym and I can't think of it right now, but is it START? Is it, well, no, it's not START. It's, anyway, there's an acronym for what kind of goals you need to write. They have to be measurable. They have to have a time limit on them. I mean, you have to have a time. I'm going to do this by this point. They have to be attainable. Have to be something that's within your reach. Like, I mean, if I could have a goal that I'm going to join the Boston Celtics and play in the NBA Finals in 2021. I mean, I could make that a goal. In fact, I think I will. I'm going to write that down. Let me write that down before I forget.
I'm going to be starting quarterback for the Colts in the Super Bowl this year too.
So attainable has to be actually within reason. So measurable, attainable, specific time limit.
Yeah.
There's one other
down is a big deal, not just with long-term goals, but to-do lists. And it goes to a different part of your brain, man.
Now,
with songs, man, I know a lot of songs, and if I have a hard time memorizing the lyrics for a song, if I write them down, I can always memorize them so much easier. It's amazing.
Hi, Steve. Steve Johns is on with us. Thank you for joining us. So you write them down first, and that makes it easier for you to
every time. And what's fascinating, and I don't even understand how it works, but if I write down all the lyrics to a song, it's like my brain takes a picture of it, and it goes to this place that I remember really kind of forever, man. I mean, there's songs that I haven't done for a long time that I could probably do now and remember word for word, as long as I use that method to memorize them. And there's other songs that I played a ton of times many years ago that I couldn't remember the lyrics to if I hadn't written them down. So it's a funny thing, man, with the brain. It's all just, to me, it's all just imagery. You're always taking snapshots of things.
Steve says that works for him too.
Yeah.
So
it's the only way I can seem to really lock it in, man.
Yeah, memory is an interesting thing. Oh, I just got an email that we're now live. We just went live. We've been talking for 5 minutes. It says we just went live on our YouTube channel. So
that was a microphone check. Everything's working now. We're good.
So Gary Vee Vaynerchuk. I have a life coach from the Tony Robbins organization, and I had my last coaching call of the year yesterday, and it was interesting because he sent me this format. It's got an acronym and I can't remember what it is, but it's a tool to help you. He's always sending me different tools. He better. I mean, if you want to get coached by the Tony Robbins organization, you better ante up some money. It's not cheap. It's not $20 a shot per session. We meet every 10 days, and it's pretty amazing. Anyway, and so we were talking about doing goals and looking back at the year. And my coach used to play with Dee Snider of Poison. He's a drummer. He used to tour the world. And he's out of music now, near as I can tell. He doesn't really mention it, but he's a full-time coach for Tony Robbins. But he's played for stadiums. He didn't play for Poison. He played for Dee Snider after he left Poison in the 90s. You know, that's rock or metal or hair metal. I guess it's a form of metal, that music. Anyway, so we were talking about that. And he's from Jersey, and Gary Vaynerchuk is from Jersey. So sometimes we'll reference Gary Vee in our call, and Gary Vee is one that Gary Vee has nothing if he doesn't have extremely strong opinions. Would you agree, Jimmy?
I love him, man.
I love him too. I absolutely love him, but he commits to his opinions. It's completely 100%. And if anyone watching this or listening to this on the podcast channels, you're not familiar with Gary Vee, check him out. He puts out an insane amount of content, like 3 videos a day on Instagram, which is free. He's also posting different content on all the other platforms. He's a social media ninja. He's got a number of companies, but anyway, rabbit trail. His thing is he's full force forward, and he does it. I've heard him. He's saying, F that, looking back at your past. And I brought up to Charlie, I said, you know, even though I'm going to go against your fellow New Jerseyan here, I personally find a lot of value with reviewing my past year. And Charlie said, yeah, I agree with that. But he said, what we don't want to do is assume we're in a car driving down a highway. We don't want to stop the car, pull over to the side of the road, get out, lean up against the back of the trunk, and just stare at the road behind us going, would you just look at it? Would you just look at it?
Yeah, regret's a useless emotion, man. I know a lot of people that are just kind of stuck in a moment of it, you know, kind of like they just hit the pause button at a certain point in their life. And I think that, you know, my experience has been that really that's probably the biggest determining factor to the success of an individual is just their willingness to turn problems or their aptitude or ability, or however you want to say it, to turn problems into opportunities. It's like we're going to stop slinging them at you. You know what I mean? And 99% of it's just mindset of, you know, just keep moving forward. And most of the people that I meet that are kind of stuck in this place, there's always, you know, a couple of moments that they'll refer to early on in the conversation of, you know, if it was a breakup or a financial disaster or something, and they just locked into that moment instead of, you know, kind of improvising and getting around in it, learning from how it happened and improving the system or something. And I think that's really the biggest commonality that I see with successful people is all of them have their horror stories. All of them have, you know, it's like, in not just, I mean, even outside of that, the biggest characters that you ever meet are oftentimes the ones with the most scars, and they just kept plodding through things and staying positive.
Absolutely. Jeff has joined us. Fedge, thank you for joining us. Regret comes from not appreciating the good times enough while they were here once they go away. I agree with that.
Yes.
And Tony's he's got a lot of mantras that come out, but one of them is, well, my favorite one, which I started saying to you and now you say it: people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what you can do in 10 years. So another one that he says, and it's not really a mantra, it is a mantra, but it's also a major part of what he teaches, and he says success is 80% mindset, business success, for success in life. And, you know, I've come around, I'm slow getting on the train, on the Tony Robbins train. I'll admit it. In fact, I had a chance to go hear him speak like 2 years ago at the Success Resources event in Nashville. And I wasn't even going to go. I had the ticket. And you remember you urged me to go, Jimmy. Do you remember?
I do remember that, man, because I'd seen a lot of his videos and stuff. And you were like, well, I have a chance to go listen to this guy. It's all that, like, I don't remember how you phrased it, but it was kind of like mumbo jumbo or something to that extent.
Well, I look back on how ignorant I was, and Tony's the real deal. I mean, he's a once in a generation guy. I mean, he really, it's not, and I had the misconception. I thought he was a motivational speaker, get you all rah rah. Now he does get you in a physical state. He talks about physiological state, but your physiological state determines like your body language and your you know, you get yourself pumped up.
Sure.
But it's not about, but it's got to be sustainable. So anyhow, the mindset, and I had a failing business that I mucked around with for 8 years, Dakota Valley Products, and couldn't get it off the ground. And I wonder if I had a better mindset, if I could have changed things, or I might have pulled the plug sooner. But even just looking back, part of my end of the year thing, I read my blog, read my journal. I should say my journal, because it's private. It's not a blog. It doesn't go out for the world. It's a private. I guess a blog is just a public journal, right? I suppose.
Pretty much.
My journal is not meant for anyone else to read but me. And I was reading a couple years ago. I had to take my car to the service, and it took almost all day, so I had time to kill. And I was starting to prepare for my end of the year program, and I started reading my journal from, I think, when I moved to Nashville. And I was like embarrassed at how, because I'm putting my raw emotions in there, and I felt that I was incredibly thin-skinned and after action analysis. I like that. Thin-skinned and easily derailed from my mindset. So I've come to, and he talks about exercising your mindset, staying in a beautiful state is like a muscle. You exercise it. You just don't immediately get to the point where you can maintain it.
Sure.
But nobody likes to be with someone who's in a horrible state. And when he says beautiful state, meaning you're positive, you're energized, you're enthusiastic, that sort of thing. And when you're in pain, you're angry or depressed or hurt, that's not a beautiful state. That's a painful state. And that's the way he describes it. And so he said, get out of that painful state and get into a beautiful state. And he said, it's all in your mind. You can do it. And he has tools to do that. So, and I even just, of course, that's the deepest, what I would write in my journal. So it wasn't probably what the world saw, although sometimes people are always, you know, when you think somebody's thinking about you, you know, they're probably not. Everybody's thinking about themselves. People don't notice as much as we think they notice about ourselves. So anyway, I found it very enlightening to see something. One reason I do my review is I can see progress, and that encourages me. In fact, I wrote this down. This was a Tony V. Or maybe the best way to solve disappointment is success. You know, so if you're disappointed, you get some success and you can solve that. I mean, you feel better about yourself quickly. But Gary Vee ground away for 10 years. You know, he says that he didn't go to the beach. He had his friends say, let's go to the Jersey Shore. Jersey, if you live in Jersey, go to the shore is a big deal. I went to the Jersey Shore a few times when I lived on the East Coast. And he didn't spend any money. He said he wore the same clothes. The T-shirts that he wore he just wore wine T-shirts. Wow. Jeff said he paused the Nets-Warriors game to watch us. So that should tell us something right here. Wow.
Nice.
Wow, that's a big game. I didn't realize they were playing. That's Durant's old team, right, against the Nets. I wonder how he and Kyrie are doing. Now, Kyrie came and played the Nets played hi, Jamie. the Nets came and played an exhibition game at the Celtics, and Kyrie, who's some percentage of Native American, burned sage on the court to purify the court.
Exercise the demons.
What's that?
Exercise the demons.
So he's into that kind of stuff. So yeah, that'd be interesting. Maybe when we get off here, I might watch that game.
I didn't even realize it was back.
Well, 22nd. I knew the season started. I think today is when it starts. So they got all the big ticket games today. I mean, obviously Nets versus Warriors is going to be a big game because KD last played for the Warriors. I mean, he took the whole last year off because he had a debilitating injury, and I wonder if he's back 100% or what. There's a lot of changes in the NBA. I guess we could take a screeching change. The Nets are up 28-17. Kyrie's at the line. Kyrie is kind of gives me I have a bad scar about Kyrie because we traded a lot to get him, and he was a big flop at the Celtics. So, talk about sports teams. I want to go into what Gary Vee talked about. It was one of the longest videos that I've seen on Instagram. Usually they're like 3-4 minutes. This one probably went on for 10 minutes or so. If you do an Instagram story or Instagram TV, I think it's called, you can make longer videos on Instagram. I think it can go all the way up to, well, it goes a lot longer than it used to. You can put a 15-minute video on Instagram. Can't put it on the feed. That's 60 seconds. But you put it, the Nets have the old Rockets coach as an assistant. Yeah, I'll tell you, the East is going to be so much tougher. Doc Rivers is coaching the Phillies. The Sixers, what do I mean, the Phillies, the Sixers. Anyway, what Gary Vee was talking about in this video, he had a guy call in who was in his 20s. You know, Gary's passionate about the what's his team? The Jets, the New York Jets. Have they won yet, the Jets, this year?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
They finally won. Anyway, this guy called in, and people call in and ask for advice. And if you're going to ask Gary Vee for advice, you better be prepared to have stuff slammed down your throat because he doesn't pull no punches. And this guy calls in, and he wants to be in movies, but he's living at home, and his life is a mess. His parents want him to go on to college, and he'd be an engineer, but he doesn't want to do that. He wants to be creative. And somehow they get on the subject that he lives in Houston, but Gary immediately goes to your social media, and he sees what you have on your social media, and he goes to his Facebook page, and he had LeBron James on his profile pic wearing a Miami Heat jersey. Now, this was taken in 2017. LeBron had gone back to the Cavaliers, and he started dissing him about how come you haven't changed your picture of LeBron on your profile to the team he's on now. I mean, are you a Cavs fan? Are you a Miami fan? What are you? And he said, I'm a LeBron fan. And so Gary asked him, he said, okay, you live in Houston. If the Rockets play the Cavs because LeBron was at the Cavs for the finals, who are you going to root for? And he said, I'd root for the Cavs. And as he talked to him, he said that LeBron moves, he's a fan of the team where LeBron goes. And Gary did not like that. Gary tore him a new one for that. He said, you got to pick it and stick it. You know, you got to, and he says he believes that if you're a fan of LeBron James or if you were a fan of Michael Jordan, that shows a lower, you're substituting their success for yours. And you really inferiority complex, and you have a weak will. And he just tore into this guy. He said, I'm a fan of the Jets. You know, they're horrible. But he wants to own the Jets one day. He said, you need to pick it and stick it. I just thought it was really interesting. He thought that was really indicative of the character of a person based on what he was a fan of and how he was a fan of LeBron James.
Sure.
Not a team, of LeBron. Wherever LeBron went, he was a fan of LeBron.
I get it, man. I get it. You know, as a lifetime Colts fan, when, you know, Peyton Manning took us from the cellars to winning a Super Bowl, and when he left for Denver, it seemed like about half the state all of a sudden were Denver Bronco fans. And I didn't care what he did. Once he left here, it was like, thanks for the memories and, best of luck unless you're playing us. And then I hope we sack you 40 times. But I get it. I mean, there are certain people that do that.
Well, does that, I mean, if you take Gary Vee's thought process, that reflects negatively on the people that are doing that. They're just looking for success. And Jeff says he likes the Timberwolves, but he also gets a lot of therapy. Yeah, well, I'm a Celtics fan, and I'm afraid they're going to be they're going to be like the fourth or fifth best team in the East this year. So many teams have got great, but I'm still a Celtics fan. I did take a slight, I will admit, confess my sins. When I was living in New York City, I did have a season tickets to the Knicks, see them at Madison Square Garden. So
what era of Knicks teams was that? Was that like John Starks, Patrick Ewing Knicks teams? Was it? Those were some great teams.
Yeah. John Starks was my favorite player. Headbutt, break his nose. When he just lost his temper. He would lose his temper. He was so fierce with his passion. And when in the game 7 against the Rockets, we lost, I think, single digits, 6 or 7 points.
Oh, careful, Tim. They lost. You're Celtic.
They lost. Yes, I'm a Celtic. They lost. They lost by single digit points, and Starks went, I think, 1 for 15 or something. He went 1 for double digits from 3-point line. If he had just made a few of those, they could have won. He was hot and cold, and he was very cold that night. Yeah. Jeff said that the T-Wolves, and I've heard you talk about this before, that I didn't remember the specifics, but the T-Wolves drafted Johnny Flynn. I don't even know that name. Johnny Flynn is even in the NBA at 5, and Ricky Rubio. They had 5 and 6? Holy crap. And Ricky Rubio at 6. And Steph Curry was taken 7.
Oopsie.
Oopsie. They had 2 picks at 5 and 6. That's amazing. And they missed Steph Curry. It's tough, man. It's tough. I mean, look at Danny Ainge does some things good, not everything good, but he got us Jason Tatum. And how many years ago was that? 3 or 4 years ago. And Philadelphia had the number 1 pick. No. The Celtics had the number 1 pick. Philadelphia the number 3 pick. And the Celtics knew that Philly wanted, what was his name? I don't even know if he's still in the league. He couldn't even raise his arm above his head there for a while. He was the number 1 pick. I'll think of it later. He was a guard, and they picked him. The Celtics traded down for the number 3 pick, and they got some other sweeteners because they knew that Tatum would go to 3, and they got Tatum. And Tatum was by far the top 3. Hey, Doctor, are you there? Wolves are on the clock. Well, I don't get the reference there. Are you talking about the draft night when they were on the draft night? Anyway, so he did really well there, and we have Tatum and by friend the guy who got taken 2nd was the Ball kid, LeVar. Which Ball? One of the balls. They got picked up.
The kid with the dad that was.
Yeah, he's bounced around. He's no longer in LA, and the kid that was number 1, I don't know where he is. He's bounced around. And Tatum was an all-star last year. So nobody, he was not a consensus. That kid that went number 1, who I can't think of his name, was consensus number 1. And he's like nothing. I mean, he's an also-ran. Now, last year, of course, the kid's not an all-star yet, but who's the kid that just blew up from Miami? Hero, last name Hero, Herro. Tyler Hero. Celtics would have gotten him we were tied with Miami for a 13th pick, and it was a coin toss, and we lost the coin toss, and they got Tyler Hero. Now, is that a flash in the pan? Will Tyler Hero, I mean, was that the best he'll ever play? I mean, I don't know. Devin Booker for Arizona put up 70 points against the Celtics a few years ago. I think he was a rookie or a second year. But do these guys play defense? You got to play defense.
Right.
There was a rumor that the Celtics, when they were able to they were successful to trade Gordon Hayward. He was going to leave anyway, but somehow he agreed to sign and get traded to Charlotte. And when they did that, the Celtics got the biggest player exception in the history of the NBA. I think it's $28 million, which means they can get somebody for $28 million and it doesn't go against their cap, against their luxury tax. So that's absolutely amazing. And there was talk that they would trade for James Harden. And I don't think that's a good move because James Harden can shoot, but you need defense to win. If you don't he doesn't play defense.
Right. And he shoots a lot of shots. Oh,
he gets to the free throw line a lot. I think we lost Jeff. Enjoy your game, Jeff Fedge.
He's on to the Warriors.
On to the Warriors game. So, yeah, I mean, do you want him on your team? I mean, I heard it said that you got to have a top 5 player on your team to win the NBA. Now, back in 2004, 2005, when Miami won, they did it with an aging Shaq, and they did it with a young Dwayne
Wade.
Neither of those guys were top 5 players, would you say?
Mm-mm.
Or even top 10 players. So it can be done.
Right dynamic.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize the NBA was back. It's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. Oh, Jeff's back. Zelled to her. Is that Zenmo? What is Zell? I use Zenmo. My nephews taught me what Zenmo is. What is Zell? Markel Foltz, thank you so much. What is that? Is that like a Venmo kind of a thing? Zell? Answer me if you can. We should get Jeff on. Jeff, do you have we'll have to get Jeff on with us.
We should.
Yeah. Do you have a computer with a microphone that you and a camera that you could log in and we can add you? Yeah, we're dads for broke. Go broke. Dads go broke. I wonder how is it different from Venmo? Say, Jeff, do you have a computer that you could get on with us after the holidays? Maybe I'll reach out to you and see. It'd be fun to bring you on. It would be, and we have to. One of the thoughts I thought after the holidays or for 2021, we definitely need to start having guests.
I agree.
People that we actually interviewed.
Zenmo. What is Zenmo?
No, Venmo, but with a V.
Oh, I thought you said Zenmo.
He said Zelled.
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 Okay.
I'm assuming it's similar to Venmo.
Gotcha.
I mean, I've gotten introduced to Venmo. I use Venmo a lot. Well, you use it too. And but Zelle, I think, is another. And in fact, there's an app where you can send money from your bank account. You know, it costs me every time I wire. It costs me $25, $30 to wire because I'm going through my accounting. Zelle. Okay, thank you, Jeff. And I think there's an app that you can connect your bank account and wire money for free. So I need to get that because those wiring fees add up. You know, I would wire money to our consultant, Alex Mittler, who did a great job for us on setting up some funnels for us. Some people, he says it's between bank. It might be between bank account. It is free. I'll look into that. Zelle. So, well, I love that sweatshirt there, buddy.
Okay.
J.R. Davis Construction LLC.
Thank you.
That's a pretty cool design you have there.
It's awfully comfortable.
Yeah,
I've been rocking it all day. It's great hoodie weather, man.
That hoodie actually is. I've got one also. That same design. That hoodie is one of the most comfortable materials that I've ever had. It's this. I don't know what it's in that material. That is a very, very comfortable.
Yeah, it's great.
Fabric that they used. Always have a beard. Tim, never. Jimmy, sometimes. Perfect trio. Absolutely. We can be like, well, if Jimmy has a beard, we'll be like ZZ Top. Two of them had beards.
Yeah.
Jeff, I had a beard. In fact, my profile pic on some of my stuff still has a beard. I had a goatee. And I had it for a year and a half, 2 years. And I decided to shave it. I was literally, here, confession, I would dye it because the grays were popping into it, and I would dye it. And sometimes I get behind, and you'd have, like when blondes or brunettes dye their hair blonde and you got roots coming out, the roots would be coming out. And I just get tired of it. And so I shaved it off. And when I did, I was playing in a band, and the wife of the other guitar player showed up, and I was setting up on the stage, and she told me, "Tim, that's you? I thought it was somebody else up there. It was only until you spoke that I knew it was you. You look 30 years younger."
That was the end of the beard, huh?
Yeah. And I had other women tell me that it made me look 10 years younger. But you have multiple women tell you that some change of your appearance makes you look 10 to 30 years younger. Unless you're 18 trying to look like you're 21, you're probably not going to go back to that, right?
Yeah. Understandable.
So, I know we're in the society now where when I act 10 years old, I can get away with it.
I've never shaved one on purpose. I just try to trim them. I always try to trim my beard and mess it up. I've never intentionally gotten rid of one. It just always has to happen.
Well, let's plan on our next time. I don't know if are we going to do it after Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's, or should we take a break? Maybe we should take a break.
Well, let's get Jeff on.
Let's get Jeff on.
Are you down, Jeff? Is that something he wants to do?
I think so. He said same. I think he was referring to that. So, Jeff, maybe you can be a semi-regular or even a regular, as far as I'm concerned. I know you have great insights. I always enjoy your humor. You'll have to get a computer and a computer with a microphone and a camera. And how it works is I send you a link,
or not.
Click on that link by email, and then you click on that link, and then you can be in the stream, and it'll be can be three guys side by side, or it can be one on top of the other. We can have different ways of arranging. You can have choices here.
You can use an iPhone too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can use an iPhone. Are you doing yours on an iPhone now?
I'm on.
Yeah. If you have an iPhone, in fact, I'm using my computer, and the camera is inferior to the iPhone. Actually, you have a crisper camera than I do, because I should use my iPhone too as well. Well, I'm doing it on StreamYard, so I probably have to use the computer. But yeah, leveling up for 2021. We'll have Jeff as a regular guest if you're willing. Let's plan on that. Bring a whole new dimension, and you can bring more fans. Well, the drawback is we'll lose one of our most fervent fans, but maybe you can bring people to follow you. Hey, Dad's on a podcast.
Yeah, maybe things will lighten up, and we can get guests in real life too.
That's what we need to try to strategize for that in 2021. And
they're rolling out the vaccine, so that'll help big time.
Yeah. So Jeff, next Tuesday night, let's same time. I'll chat with you sooner, but if you're up for it, we will have you on. Is that all right, Jimmy?
Absolutely.
Okay. So it'll be a good time between Christmas and New Year's, kind of a good break for that, and get Jeff Fedge on there with us.
What's his nickname?
Fedge.
Gotcha.
There were two. He explained it to me recently. There were two Jeffs in the household because of some blending of families. There's another Jeff about the same age, so he became Jeff spelled backwards, Fedge, F-F-E-J, to differentiate from the other Jeff. If I got it right. Stepbrother Jeff, his stepbrother, was in the household, and so Fedge took one for the team and made his name, changed his name so everyone could differentiate. And
my brother was named Jeff.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one that passed.
Yeah, he was a gem.
Yeah, those losses are probably always hard.
Oh yeah, man, especially a sibling. Yeah, we'll have to get Jeff on.
Right. I'm like Cher, only need one name. Absolutely, Fedge. Absolutely. I've never run across another person named Fedge. And Jeff sends you his condolences as well.
Thank you.
So, well, you got any other subjects there, Big Shooter?
I'm pumped up about Christmas, man.
All right. Well, this will be
Get big dad business and
yeah.
kids. I still have, my daughter's 8, so we're still in that era of Christmas being
So exciting.
yeah,
Excitement.
it's the best.
Do you open Christmas on New Year's Eve or open presents New Year's Eve or
Christmas Day, and we'll go to my mom's on Christmas Eve, and then Christmas Day we'll do our thing here and go to my sister's and her parents and 50,000 other places. We spend about half the holidays in automobiles.
nice?
It's no complaint. It's all worthwhile, man. Get to see everybody.
Good.
Excited. But yeah,
All right.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
And here's to 2021.
Here's to 2021. Absolutely. See y'all.